We're here with Vera Dark. Now that we are halfway through South of Midnight, it's time we can actually start watching some South of Midnight stuff. Hopefully, it's not bombing too hard. There's a lot of good stuff in it, a lot of promise. Hopefully, the second half picks up a little bit because I'm not entirely sold on the first half. A little sad about how some of the stuff went, not the story, just the overall it breaking my game a couple times. All right, give her a like and sub if you like her. This is Vera Dark from Dark Titan.
Every single game that Sweet Baby Inc. touches turns to trash or has a major controversy
I don't think every game. They had some winners in there like Spider-Man.
surrounding it. It's so funny to see one single company be a part of so many major disasters, but they definitely are. And now the latest SBI-infected game, South of Midnight, is completely flopping on Steam because it failed to hit 1,500 concurrent players on release day, and it is already tanking on the Steam charts.
To be fair, it deserves better, especially considering they appropriately priced it at $40. I feel like it is a $40 game. It's not very long, but it really stands out. It's unique. The music is definitely different. The art style is very different. It's not filled with woke agenda. And the character development is solid. I mean, most of the characters you don't end up seeing again. So that kind of sucks and feels wasted. But the actual development is good. You end up feeling for a lot of the characters. Even like a giant alligator, you end up like, oh, that poor alligator. And then you have to fight that alligator.
I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, every once in a while, Sweet Baby Inc. is a part of a game that seems that it's going to be a major success, and then it isn't. God of War Ragnarok was still pretty successful, but it faced major controversy.
I mean, you can't deny the God of War games were always going to do well, and I don't think it was full of woke agenda. I never played a God of War game, but I haven't heard anybody complain about that.
Because of things like rewrites and race swaps. You had Alan Wake 2, which was just heartbreaking to me. I absolutely love the first game. And then the second one, they had half of the game as Alan and then half of the game as Saga.
I don't know
The story itself just really wasn't that great. It did not hit the same way that the first game did. And South of Midnight is a AA game. It was never supposed to be some like major AAA release, but I still had some hope for it because I thought that the visuals looked very good in the teasers and trailers. I didn't necessarily think that the gameplay looked terrible, maybe a little bit too simple, but now that I've played it, it definitely didn't deserve even the little bit of hype that I gave it. Unfortunately,
I kind of wanted to watch her play through, and now I'm worried she's going to hate this game.
It is still very pretty, but beauty only goes so far. Most video games releasing nowadays should be pretty to some extent. And I think the visuals that they went for are good, but the rest of the game was poorly executed. You basically have one attack, and you have a couple of abilities, like you have a force push, you have a force pull, you have a move that makes your enemies take more damage, but unfortunately, that's really where that excitement ends, because you're constantly fighting the same, I'd say, four types of enemies to be
there's not, other than bosses, there's not a lot of variety of enemies. It's literally the same things over and over and over.
Because 3 pop up in almost every single instance of combat, but 1, which is like a brute, only pops up every once in a while, so that's a problem. And then there's only, at this point that I'm at in the game, which I'm halfway through and I've only had one stream of it, is 1 going on to 2 bosses, which I'm at like the halfway point. So there's clearly only going to be 3 bosses, and it's only...
I'm halfway also, and I've only fought, I'm pretty sure 2 bosses. I can't even actually remember 2 bosses. I don't want to spoil anything. I remember 1, and then there's probably another one, and at the end of every level, you're doing the exact same chase scene, only it's slightly different, the things you're jumping over and through. It's the same things you're jumping over and through, it's just a different sequence of them.
Only an 8 to a 10 hour experience depending on like how slow you play the game, so it's just not a full-blown experience, at least in my opinion. I don't think that there is anything that this game does shiningly well. I don't think that this game does anything that it really deserves a lot of praise for, and I did think that the idea of the stop motion,
I think the art style deserves praise. It definitely does that different than everything else. If nothing else, that deserves praise for being different.
And feel in the cutscenes was cool, but it was executed really poorly. All around, just not a game that I thought was going to be a little bit better. I thought maybe the story was going to be super preachy, but at least like the gameplay would be fun, and it would be very pretty, and it would have a lot of depth and lots of lore. It's a really forgettable experience, at least in my opinion. But taking a look at the launch day numbers, they were not.
Well, yeah, I don't think there was a whole lot of marketing for it. I didn't see anything, and I was excited to play it.
Good. According to SteamDB, the game hit a peak concurrent player count of just 1,411 on April 8th,
Ugh.
which was when the game came out
But at $40, that's not good numbers, no.
of early access on Steam. Now, yes, this is a game that came out on Game Pass day one, but developers
Oh yeah, it's also in Game Pass. That's how I'm playing it, Game Pass.
still need copies to sell outside of Game Pass because they're not making money from Game Pass. They still need people to swipe their credit cards on Steam or on the Xbox storefront.
Yeah, but they got paid a chunk of money to be on Game Pass day one, so they can add that to the sales at least.
They still need people to show up, and I just don't see that really happening here. The low player numbers were not surprising given it's a Sweet Baby Inc. infected game. Of course, there are millions of gamers who have talked about Sweet Baby Inc. over the past year and a half. Lots of people who are boycotting, and ultimately people who are just much more skeptical of the products they are working on because Sweet Baby Inc. is really only hired to assist on one type of game, and that type of game is one that leans heavily into identity politics. And that's sad to say, right? Because I don't want so many games coming out being infected.
This is not about identity politics. None of this. This is about her identity as something she comes to find out she is, but has nothing to do with her like race or gender.
With this type of messaging, but there are. And you can basically guarantee yourself that Sweet Baby Inc. or Black Girl Gamers or one of these very similar narrative consultation companies is going to be a part of a project like this. And the modern audience that they're making these games for could always show up and prove us wrong. Yet they never do because this modern audience doesn't really exist. I say this with every game that launches: Unknown Nine Awakening, Flintlock The Siege of Dawn, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
I completely forgot Unknown Nine Awakening came out. Flintlock we're going to play on Game Pass though.
Concord, Dustborn, even this. If the modern audience wants to support a game, they would have 100,000 people buying a title like this, but they never freaking do. It says, of course, maybe the biggest commercial disaster Sweet Baby Inc. was associated with was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice
And we're going to play that later this year during Halloween. It's one of the scary games.
League, and those numbers peaked at 13,459 over on Steam. But taking a look now, it still has not gotten any better. All-time peak 2 days ago, 1,411. That has stayed the same. The 24-hour peak was 1,251, and players in game right now is 737. This is a very short experience, so I don't think that people are really going to put in more than 2 to maybe 3 sessions max into this game before they finish it, which also doesn't help because it's a game that costs $40, so it's not like it's a full-priced standard experience, but they are not providing you with a lot of value here, at least in my opinion. And of course, just one day after release, South of Midnight has already gone south on the Steam charts. It's already down to number 4.
What beat it? Battle Brothers, Oh, I don't even know any of these. State of Decay 2 I've heard of. I have not heard of any of these other Dadgum games. Liza P. I mean, that's been out long enough. That could have gone down, yeah. Yeah, it got beat by a bunch of games I've never even heard of.
140, which we do not know a lot of specifics about this game, but it is a AA game with an estimated $30 million budget, and as far as we're aware, 5 to 6 years of development. So you would think that the experience would be lengthier, they'd be giving you more value, but unfortunately, people like Kim Belair probably swooped into this game and altered things. Keep in mind, last year we heard a report, of course take it with a grain of salt, from Mark Kern, aka Grums, showing some leaked images and claiming that Hazel, the lead character, was originally supposed to be a white lady, but they ended up race swapping her.
I don't see how that matters. Like, none of that should have mattered. I think she works the way she is.
And her mother, and of course, if you play this game, the villain, the main villain, is a evil white lady, so you can definitely tell.
Well, that explains that. Like, they changed the good characters to black, but kept the evil characters as white. Although, I don't really understand why they did that. They could have changed the whole family to black, but they left it mixed race, but specifically so the white people can be the problem. Okay, I can see a little bit of an issue there.
That a narrative was forced upon this game, if those rumors are true, and to me, it definitely seems that way. But, you know, Sweet Baby Inc. kills everything that it touches. And one of these days, companies will need to recognize this. One of these days, studios will need to come to the conclusion that narrative consultancy groups are not good for your title. And hey, I always say this, if you are a studio or you are a writer and you need to bring in another company to tell you how to change your story and fix it, you probably suck at your job and you don't deserve to have that job. I'm not talking about like beta readers giving initial feedback. We are talking about full-blown editors here. We're talking about people who are telling the developers what they should or should not do in the name of political correctness, which is just not right, at least in my and many other people's opinions. So Sweet Baby Inc. is struggling. We also heard a report recently come out that claims that a lot of games that Sony was working on that SBI was involved with have been canceled, like a live service
Ooh,
God of War game, and maybe
which is a
Sony won't be
dumb
working
idea.
with SBI anymore. I wouldn't go as far as to say that, because it seems that Sweet Baby Inc. has a lot of pull in this industry, working with Sony's, working with Square Enix's, working with Ubisoft's, working with Xbox Game Studios and Microsoft. So I don't want to say that they're just going to magically disappear one day, though we are hearing a lot of very bad news for them. And with failure after failure after failure under their belt, it can't look good to the companies that they ultimately reach out to, or studios that might be looking for
Oh,
consultancy groups. So their latest
I think at this point, if companies still reaching out to them, they clearly have an agenda they're trying to push through.
game, South of Midnight, is not going so well so far. It, player count wise, has been abysmal. Had a terrible start with 1,411 players. And even when you compare it to some other games that Sweet Baby Inc. has put out, like Unknown Awakening and Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, it's really not that much better because, well, Unknown Awakening was 285 6 months ago at release, which is bad. And then Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, which had 648, so it's technically doing better compared to these other AA launches.
Yeah, but I think they didn't really push Flintlock either.
Though I wouldn't say like 500 people is really doing all that much better. So I'll be keeping my eye on this game over the next few days. When I'm uploading this video tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, I'll be playing more of it and ultimately finishing the game. We'll have to see how that goes. Maybe it will get better, maybe it won't.
Oh,
But for now,
fingers
that's all that
crossed.
I
I hope
really
it
had
gets
to
better,
discuss in
man.
this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you did,
I hope it gets better for her because that means it's going to get better for me. And I would like this game to get better so I can enjoy it more and hopefully not break or crash on me again. Leave a comment down below if you're playing this game. I would love to know how many people out there are actually playing this game. Uh, if you're not, what about it put you off? Was it Sweet Baby Inc.? Honestly, you're not missing a lot. I got a month of Game Pass waiting for this to come out, and then Expedition 33 at the end of this month. We're going to play that. So this is the month of Game Pass. We're going to burn through as many games as we can. And however this one goes, we're going to be able to wash the taste out of it, out of our mouth, out of our mouth. Nailed it, first try. We're going to be able to wash the taste out with Avowed next week. So no matter how bad this is, worst one next week. And also Flintlock is on the list of games I would like to try and knock out too. I think the only good one that we're probably going to end up playing is Expedition 33 and probably Indiana Jones. That's on Game Pass. But I guess we'll see. Join me for it, twitch.tv/mplaythejolly. I'd be happy to take recommendations, especially if there's a Game Pass one that you want to see me play, because I might have extra time. I don't know. Maybe I'll get 2 months if I get behind too much. Then we're going to need more games. Heck yeah. All right. I'll catch you later. Thanks for joining me. Stay safe, stay hydrated, take care of yourself, and take care of somebody else. Mwah.